Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something that literally took the globe by surprise back in June: Kpop Demon Hunters. We're going to break down exactly how this animated action comedy managed to take a massive global music industry and flawlessly merge it with mainstream Hollywood storytelling. As you'll see, it isn't just a movie, it's the defining cultural hit of the decade.
I mean, just look at the sheer scale of this success. It's wild. We're talking about the #1 most watched title on Netflix ever. And musically, it is the very first soundtrack in history to have 4 tracks sitting in the Billboard Top 10 at the exact same time. That's the kind of crossover success studios literally dream about, but almost never pull off.
People are calling it, quote, a once-in-a-generation success story. And they're right, because this level of success, it's absolutely not a fluke. It's a meticulously crafted machine. Okay, let's dive into this and figure out exactly how they pulled it off.
We've got a lot of ground to cover today. First, we'll look at Hollywood's old K-pop problem. Then, getting the culture right. After that, the sound of authenticity, followed by deconstructing the idols, and finally, the grassroots marketing miracle. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Section 1, Hollywood's old K-pop problem.
So to really get why this matters, we have to look at the K-pop industry itself. You know, people often call K-pop a genre, but it's really not. It's much more accurately understood as an intensely developed, massive production system. It's this incredible blend of Western influences, think hip-hop, R&B, and dance, all running through a highly calibrated machine. If you remember the absolute chokehold 90s Western boy bands had on pop culture, like NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, or the Spice Girls, K-pop basically fills that exact void today, but on a much, much grander global scale. These artists, they lean fully into being idols, meaning they go through years of grueling, rigorous training to become the ultimate musical and cultural icons. But prior to 2021, Hollywood was totally stumped on how to actually capture this magic on screen.
For the longest time, the old Hollywood approach was just awkward. They'd use that tired fish out of water trope, right? Taking a character, dropping them into a foreign K-pop setting, and making the whole thing about how weird and isolating it was. It just felt alienating. But then comes Korean-Canadian filmmaker Maggie Kong. She threw out the old playbook entirely and went for a true cultural celebration. Her approach is so grounded and authentic. Yes, she nods to the punishing schedules and the intense image management these idols face, but crucially, she never frames that machinery as soul-sucking. She somehow captures both the brutal machinery and the pure magic of it at the exact same time.
Which brings us right into Section 2, getting the culture right.
Initially, the pitch was just a superhero film about Korean women and K-pop. But instead of making some campy, superficial parody, they dug deep. They grounded the entire mythology in real Korean shamanism. And that was a total game changer, because it allowed them to celebrate different eras of Korean history and put gorgeous, old-time traditional Korean garb right there on the big screen. But it did something else too. It filled this massive representation gap in young adult animation. Producer Chris's wife, author Morin Gwan, had been pointing out for years that we need better female characters in animation. And Maggie Kang absolutely delivered. We get strong, talented women who are weird, funny, and kick major butt. Maggie actually noted she made this movie for her 12-year-old self, and Chris felt they were making it for the 12-year-old version of Morin. You can really feel that sincerity shining through.
All right, moving on to Section 3, the sound of authenticity. Obviously, a movie about K-pop lives or dies by its soundtrack, right? Maggie and Chris knew the K-pop community is highly specific and incredibly discerning, so the crucial point is, they didn't just hire traditional Hollywood composers to fake a K-pop sound. No way. They went straight to the heavyweights. They partnered directly with the Black Label and the legendary producer Teddy, who is the mastermind behind some of the biggest real-life girl groups on the planet. Skipping the Hollywood imitation game and going straight to the source, that's exactly what guaranteed absolute credibility with the hardcore fan base.
And the way they structure this music is just genius. They went for this massive dual audience appeal. On the surface, you've got these incredibly catchy bubblegum pop tracks like Soda Pop, the kind of banger that hooks every kid and absolutely obsesses parents for the first 1,000 plays. But underneath that shiny surface, the film delivers these epic pop ballads with seriously deep messaging. We're talking themes you rarely see in animated films: healing from shame, confronting your inner demons, and finding authentic strength in community. This right here is how you build a mega hit. You hook the kids with the fun pop, but you pull in the adults with this really profound emotional resonance.
That leads us right into Section 4, deconstructing the idols.
Let's look at how they built the main group, Huntress. It's like a perfectly calibrated puzzle of personalities based on real fan archetypes. First up is Rumi, voiced by Arden Cho and EJ.
She's your classic powerhouse leader with a voice that could level buildings. But she has this hidden depth. She's a hyper-driven, disciplined perfectionist. Then you have Mira, voiced by Mi Hung. She's the main dancer who projects this icy, cool exterior, but actually hides some deep vulnerabilities. And of course Zoe, voiced by Ji Young. She's the maknae, or youngest member, who's the rapper and brings that chaotic good comic relief. But what really pushes this trio past just being superficial tropes is the authenticity behind the mic. Real-life K-pop singer-songwriter EJ actually provides Rumi's singing voice. Get this. EJ almost quit the industry entirely before this movie, but she brought her lived-in authenticity to the role and even helped write the tracks. It gives these archetypes true interiority.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next point, the villains. You can't have an epic girl group without a worthy rival, right? Enter the Saga Boys. These fictional boy band foils are flawlessly crafted. They've got the swagger of Monster X, the media polish of third-generation titans like BTS, and they even get these epic, slow-motion hair-tossing entrances that totally echo EXO's Love Me Right music video. But they aren't just there to look menacing. They act as a super sharp, pointed metaphor for boy bands that feed off idol worship. It's a winking acknowledgement of how powerful an all-consuming parasocial pop fandom can be. But crucially, it never, ever veers into scolding the audience. It's just really clever, respectful commentary.
All right, our final piece of the puzzle, Section 5, the grassroots marketing miracle.
Now, what's really interesting about this timeline is that making a great movie actually wasn't enough to guarantee its massive reach. This was a total underdog story. Step 1. Sony Animation develops the film beautifully, but then their distribution arm straight up passes on releasing it. Step 2. Netflix thankfully swoops in to save the project, but even then, Step 3, there was zero faith from the traditional industry. Merchandising companies didn't get it, to the point that the Mattel dolls wouldn't even be ready for Christmas. So how did it succeed? Step 4. True fandom outreach. By involving real K-pop idols in the filmmaking, they earned the trust of core fans. The team reached out directly to journalists and creators already in the community. That ignited a massive, authentic grassroots movement that blasted this film into the stratosphere, proving that genuine outreach can succeed where traditional studios just lack vision.
Which leaves us with a final question. What makes a true hit? Well, as we've seen, it's never just one thing. It's not just the music, or the fandom, or the grounded themes, or the grassroots marketing. It is the perfect, almost magical alignment of all these elements coming together at exactly the right time. Kpop Demon Hunters didn't just entertain us, it gave Hollywood a brand new blueprint for authentic, cross-cultural storytelling. The real question is, now that the machinery of this phenomenon is out in the open, how is this blueprint going to reshape Hollywood for the rest of the decade? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and we will catch you next time as we dissect the next big phenomenon.